same question.
Yeah,
Okay, let's look at, number 3, still going on, changing the decimal to a percent, 2.1 would equal what percent? Not 21. 210%, it's gotta go over 2 places. Would equal 210, not percent, yeah, 210%. And then, 4.85, 485%. 3.25, 325%. 0.015, 1.5%. 0.16, 16%. 0.4, 40%. 1.75, 175%. 4.5, 450%. Okay, very good. On exercise 4, we're changing a percent to a fraction. Remember that a percent to a fraction means that you are dividing by 100. 100 is your denominator. So for any of the whole numbers, 45%, that's just 45 over 100. Because this is a division sign as well. This says 45 divided by 100 is what it says. But we can do it like this and then just reduce it. 5 goes into 45 and 5 goes into 100. So this as a percent would equal this as a fraction. You would just put 100 as your denominator and reduce it. If though you have a fraction in that percent, you can't just, you can put it over 100, but because you have a mixed number in there, you actually have to take it out and divide it by 100. That's when you have to remember the rules of dividing fractions. 37.5 divided by 100. Let's kick it back this way. Thank you. What's the first step in dividing by a fraction? First step we've done, write it horizontally. And by this point you need to be able to rattle off. What's the second step when you divide fractions? Change all mixed numbers and whole numbers into improper fractions. 2 times 37, 74 plus 1 is 75. You change a whole number just by putting a 1 under it. The next step in dividing fraction is write it,
Flip it,
change it, flip it. Then you multiply top times top, bottom times bottom, reduce. 25 goes into 75, 25 goes into 200. This, as a percent, is this as a fraction. If you have a fraction with it, you have to actually take it out and divide by 100. Follow the rules of fractions. Write it horizontally. Change all mixed numbers and whole numbers into improper fractions. Write the first fraction. Change the sign to multiplication. Flip the second fraction upside down. Back here you could have canceled if you know how to do that. I could have said the same thing back here that I said there. I could have said 25 goes in here 3 times, 25 goes in here 4 times. Then when I multiplied top times top, I would have gotten my 3 already. And bottom times bottom, I would have gotten my 8. But, as you see, I didn't have to. I still get to there. But sometimes this number is so big when you get here, you have to go a long ways to get from here to there. So that's why if you can see where you can cancel back here, it's better to do that so that your number is smaller when you get over here. But either way, you can still get the right answer. You just have to know that you're not done until you have reduced this as far as you can. Because you may have started out with 5. You may have said 5 goes into 75 so many times and into 200 so many times. Then 5 goes again, and 5 may go again until you get down to 2 go. You know, you just have to keep going. How much you can reduce back here. So looking at these examples here, on page 153, if it asks you to change these percents to a fraction or a mixed number and reduce, to change it to a fraction like we did the first one, the 45, you just needed to put the 45 over the 100 and reduce it. But that 37.5, you'd have to actually divide that by 100, and that's what we did there to come up with it. I want you to do number 2, the first two, the 83 1/3 and the 24%. Change them to fractions. The first two and number 2, 83 1/3 and 24. Steps divided by 100. What is the fraction for 83 1/3?
83
Hmm? You didn't add that 1, it should have been 250 over 300, then you gotta reduce that. You had 249 as well?
Wait, what was that?
Hmm?
I don't think I have it right.
What do you have?
I had 83 over 100.
No, you change, how do you change 83 1/3? You should have had 83 1/3 over 100, which means you had to divide 83 1/3 by 100 like we did this one.
Is it 5 over 10?
It wouldn't be 5/10, because 5/10 would be 1/2.
5/15.
5/15 would be 1/3, yeah, you're guessing, right? Put a number in it and see. What goes into 250 and into 300?
50.
Okay, and 50 goes into 250 how many times? How many 50s in each 100?
5.
Okay, so 2/4, so put the 5 at the top, and 50 goes into 300 how many times?
6.
That 5/6. Did people get 5/6? You should have had 83 1/3 divided by 100. 83 1/3 changes to 250 thirds, right? 3 times 83 is 249 plus 1 is 250 over 3. Divided by 100 over 1. Then you should have written the first fraction, 250 over 3. Change the sign to multiplication. Flip the second one upside down, which would be 1 over 100 now. So now you have 250 times 1 is 250, and 3 times 100 is 300. So you have 250 over 300, which has to be reduced. 50 goes into both of them evenly. 50 will go into 250 5 times. 50 will go into 300 6 times, so it reduces to 5/6. Questions? Problems with it? Okay, where was your problem?
Oh, no, she was asking me if I got it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anybody problems with it, so we can show you that step on the board. And I say it simply like that every time because I want to get you to understand that it is a fact. If you memorize the steps, it's the same steps every time. Every time you see a problem and you have to divide with a fraction, your mind's gotta get into that mode. Write it horizontally, change whole numbers and mixed numbers into improper fractions, write it, change it, flip it. Then